Welcome back to VOP this morning. We have been talking about the rift between Wike and Fubara, the governor of Rivers State. Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State on Thursday signed the state's 800 billion naira 2024 budget into law, barely 24 hours after it was presented to a four-man State House of Assembly for approval. Amidst this, the Rivers State chapter of All the Progressives Congress said the embattled 27 members of the House of Assembly do not need the demolished House of Assembly complex or a physical structure to carry out their duties. This was disclosed when the State Caretaker Committee led a delegation to the national headquarters of the APC in Abuja on Thursday. Also, the State's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Zacchaeus Adango, a senior advocate of Nigeria, has resigned his appointment with other commissioners, tendering their resignation letters in quick succession. The Attorney General was one of the cabinet members of ex-Governor Nyesom Wike, now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and was reappointed by Governor Fubara. In spite of all of it, the ruling All Progressive Congress APC has described the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, as a Nigerian's den of politics, blaming the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, for the political crisis that has engulfed the state in recent weeks. While the chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Bode George, said the political crisis in Rivers State could spread across Nigeria if not resolved as soon as possible. And Bode George also said this in an interview on Thursday. The PDP chieftain appealed to the warring factions to embrace peace in the interest of the country. Now we have Barrister Evans Ofeli joining us virtually, and we also have
yes, in the studio with us we have Dr. Gani Oluwashola. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, he's a managing partner, KJB Professional Services and Public Affairs commentator.
Yeah.
And virtually Barrister Evans Ofeli. Well, good morning to you, Barrister. Welcome to the conversation. Let me start with you now. Now, first off, would you consider Nyesom Wike a dean or a dawn of politics in Nigeria? Bear in mind, somebody did say on television that when you look at, when you count the president, the next person you look at when it comes to political prowess would be Wike. Do you share that? Do you share the same view?
I don't agree. We should not accord Wike any title of being a political, having political prowess for the distortions and the seeming irregularities that he has created back in his home state. You see, what is going on in that state now is because Wike have refused to allow the substantive governor to function. He was the governor of that state for 8 years. Now he's the minister for the FCT, but he has not been able to allow democracy to flourish in that state. And because, according to him, in one of the statements he made, he said he bought forms for all of them, including the House members and all that, and had consistently said he's supposed to control the government. He made appointment, all the commissioners for the substantive governor, Wike appointed them. Where did this problem start from? The substantive governor, appointed 5 commissioners as a governor. That was where Wike started fighting him from, because he made his own choice to appoint 5 persons. Wike wanted to be the one that will appoint everybody, and then run the state from Abuja. With someone with that kind of political understanding, cannot be referred to as having a political prowess. He's a member of the PDP, yet he is fix with the APC. That is running anti-party politics against his own political party. Now, these 27 members who just lost their seat, former members, because they have lost their seats. It was Wike that created the wrangling. They are loyalists of Wike, so that they can pull out and they have a way of impeaching the substantive governor. I don't want to use the word allegedly. I don't want to use the word allegedly because there's nothing alleged there. The face, from the face value of expression, Wike cannot be referred to as, given the kind of confusion, wrangling, and now the House of Assembly is divided. Just 4 members there, and the other ones in between the road.
All right, we'll talk about the legality of the 4 members that passed the budget. How legal that is. We'll talk about that in a bit. But let's quickly come to Dr. Ganiyu now. 27 members decamped, and the court-backed head of the assembly now, the court-backed speaker, that's Ehie, Edison Ehie, has declared their seats vacant. But you do recall that Edison Ehie was even on suspension, at some point before this entire rift went out of control. Is he legally, should he legally be, heading the assembly in the state?
That's a brilliant question. You see, since the court, in Nigeria, the court has his own say. Since the court has declared him as the substantive and valid and legal Speaker of the House of Assembly, then it becomes valid, right? It becomes the substantive, and his decisions, as we speak today, his decisions still hold water and still hold water. I will make an instance. Let me consider there's a case that happened in Ondo State many years ago during Abegude and the Labour Party. Right, the case was all over there. That those people also they moved from their political party to another party, and the state ruled against the Supreme Court ruled against it. It said the only reason why you will still be holding forth is because the only reason why those things should hold is when there are chaos in the party, when there are destabilization, where there are political boha, where there are complete breakdown. But in this case, there are no breakdown. There are no divisions. There are no chaos in the party. You just cross-carpeting. You move from one political party to another political party without any issue. So at that point in time, and the court said, and do you know that our Nigeria law holds on precedents? Once they are deciding, they decide on, have they decided a case on that issue before? And so if there's a case being decided on that issue, and one of them was white, it quickly ran back, right? And since Edison is being appointed as the legal person, so his decision still hold water. Either it was suspended. The question is that his suspension then was not valid. So in as well, the court has overturned it and made him a substantive Speaker of the House, so his decision becomes valid.
So now, you know very well that the House of Assembly was demolished a few days ago, and then the government has said that the 27 embattled members that defected, they do not need the House to carry out their duties. How so is that?
That becomes another case, right? Because normally, like also a case that was also around the globe then between Adeleke and Ladoja, right? The case was that, some people moved out of the legislative premises and lodged themselves in a place, and they decided to impeach Governor Ladoja then. And the case got to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says that, no, you cannot legislate outside the legislative building. So any legislation you are going to make should be within the building. That is when it hold water. And they threw away those Adeleke case then because they were trying to safeguard the issue of impeachment or some miscreants coming together to form some some cabal to be able to impeach the government. But when you look at this case now, you will also agree with me that for some couple of days, the assembly got burnt, right? And the governor Fubara came up and said that, as a caring governor, and said that, because of the fire outbreak there, the building is no longer safe to stay. So to be able to safeguard the life of people and the property of the state so that the life of the legislative arm are not at risk, let us pull it down and rebuild it. That is another case entirely, right? And he also said, we are providing a place for you, at least for it to be comfortable for you to be able to carry out your legislative arm, which he can provide as a substantive place in the middle before the whole house is being constructed. Then the question, those one about Adeleke and Governor Ladoja is about impeachment, and the house was not pulled down because there's a fire outbreak. So it's now, at every point in time, every case is being thrown up, and every case is being decided on the peculiarity of it now. To now say that, this is substantive, since the place was pulled down because of the risk. I'm not deciding for the Supreme Court. The integrity of the building. So we provided a place for you to legislate. So the question is that where it was provided, was this is it adequate? Is it adequate enough or for them to be able to carry out the legislative arm? And if you look at this case now, their decision is for them to pass the budget, not to do something inimical to the state or to the governor. So I don't know what the Supreme Court is going to decide about it, right? But what they've done is not out of place, but they need to find a place, since they are the substantive legislative arm that is approved and upheld by the Court of Rivers, then their decisions still remain valid.
All right then. Barrister Evans now. Two questions. First, the 4 members that approved that would go down for me. I don't know if there's been another record. That will go down as the fastest budget that has been passed. It was passed in less than 24 hours. It was presented, commissioners, defended. It was presented, defended, passed, and signed in 24 hours by 4 members. Is that legally? Is that legal? That's one. The second one would be the now 26 members, because, one was said to have gone back. The 26 members, can they go to court to contest their position or the declaration that their seats are vacant?
Yeah, they can go to court, okay, to argue their case. Anybody can go to court, actually. But if you look at the law itself, apart from the fact that Section 109, subsection 1G, had clearly given conditions under which a person or persons or lawmakers can defect. Okay. The truth is that since the matter has not gone to court yet, I have authority to talk about it. The truth is that from the provisions of law, it is clear that you can only defect from one political party to the other if you can prove that there's division in your party, there is a faction or merger or the likelihood of or such. So in the case under reference, there's no such division in the PDP. And the division that is referred to in law is not division from a state or whatever. Division from the Central Working Committee, from the party itself, not from the party in a region or a state. You understand? In this case, whether in the region, whether in the center, whether in the states, there's no division anywhere. So the lawmakers didn't get sound legal advice before they embarked on that. Now, the person who is orchestrating, whom they are alleged to be subservient to, whom they support, which is Wike himself is pulling them, leading them to move out to defend. Why Wike himself is still in PDP. So it's a case of one who have decided to follow Wike blindly And that is actually a passport for their exit out of that place. They didn't get sound legal advice. So they can go to court and vent whatever they want to vent. Now, as for the 4 members who pass the budget, in my honest opinion, if I were the Attorney General of that state or the governor of the state, what I would have done is to allow INEC to conduct the election for the 26 seat, because that's what the law says. To conduct election for that 26 seat, to replace them. Because these 26 persons, they are from different constituencies. Okay?
How be it that they did not consult?
Oh, it seems to be not. Okay, go ahead.
How be it that they did not consult their constituency on the matter under reference? I would rather that they are elected into office, and then, because the law says that you can use the budget of the previous year, okay, for a number of months. You understand? So Fubara could have relied on the 2023 budget, get into 2024. There's a window of about 6 months, 3 to 6 months, that he can use the project. Within that time, they would have replaced these members, and then you cannot have the budget presented to the new. That's what I would have done. However, the 4 members who passed this into law, it does not make it invalid, because these 26 persons, as we speak, their seats have been declared vacant. They are no longer members of the House of Assembly of Rivers State. Okay, so the 4 lawmakers who passed it does not mean it is invalid too. But to avoid legal complications and constitutional crisis, I would have advised that you replace them first. You use the old budget into the new year. Then after the election, then you can present the budget. That is what I think he should have done. But I think they did this to let the opposition or the people who are fomenting trouble to make governance impossible in that state. They did this to let them know that despite the 26 members who are not in the House, despite the crisis they have created everywhere, the state is still running. That is for the optics. But when you talk law, optics is not enough. You must be building on legality all through. Your action must roll on legality all through from start to finish. So if you have that, then you have a good place to stand in court to deliberate issues and all that. Definitely they will go to court, but I don't see them scaling through successfully. If they were material, complete breakdown of the PDP, such that the center is not holding proper, such that the justification is quite defined why they should defect, fine and good, that would have made a lot of sense. But here, it is not the question of division. They just left because they are loyal to someone who is fighting the substantive governor. And that's why I think they didn't get right legal advice. And it's unfortunate, really, that lawmakers themselves that are supposed to know the law, presume to have known the law, would cause a fait accompli into their own political career, like jettisoning their seat in order to support someone who is at the center, who is not even in APC, who is still in PDP. It's an unfortunate situation that is playing out the Rivers State House of Assembly.
All right, Barrister Evans. So now there's with the people defecting to other parties, and then we have the Commissioner for Justice, Professor Zaccheaus, also tendering his resignation letter. But a school of thought would say that most of them are tendering their resignation letter because of the fact that they don't want to be sacked. Now, what's your take on this? Do you think Fubara is actually losing people, or would you think that's a good move for them to tender their resignation letter by themselves?
Fubara is not losing anybody. Whoever resigns will be replaced. Okay? It will even give him more edge to appoint to have more people in the cabinet that was appointed by him. You know, it was Wike that appointed all the commissioners. The problem started when he appointed 5, when Fubara appointed 5, and Wike says an ingrate. You understand? So if I were the attorney, I've said what I would have done. I won't resign. I would advise adequately, because government is a continuum. Bearing in mind that Wike had already served his term. But you see, what they are doing here is what politicians do in Nigeria is when they are in office, they start to think of re-election, how they will remain in that seat in the coming election cycle. Okay? So those who help them to get there, they wouldn't want to offend them. That's exactly what they're doing. Wike sponsored all of them. He said it. Okay? So they want to remain loyal to him so that during their re-election, Wike will support them to get back into the house. That is exactly why they cannot function adequately in the present because of the future. Okay, that they have no control over. Otherwise, a politician with principle should be able to discharge his duties and function in the present. You are elected in the present, okay, to do what you have to do in the present. But because of they want to perpetuate themselves after this election cycle, they begin to they get subservient to persons whom ordinarily they should not be subservient to. They should focus on their particular duty. Now, this attorney general that resigned, the handwriting is all over the place. He wants to keep his loyalty with Wike. That's exactly what has happened, and that for me is unfortunate. The state is in crisis. This is the time he's supposed to offer the best legal advice. The best legal advice that will help to sustain the tide of politics and the governance in the state so that things don't break down. But unfortunately, he has the right to resign. It is his choice to do so. But I would do otherwise if I were there. I will make sure that the law is properly injected into the system to ensure that there's no further breakdown of law and order in the state. That is what a lawyer is trained to do. You are minister in the temple of justice. You are trained to see problem ahead and avert them. You are trained to advise the governor in such a way that he will not go into more further trouble. The governor destroying pulling down the assembly house and citing that is not fit and proper for legislative business, given that parts of it was burnt before and what is left is not fit and all that. Those issues, well, they're also political, very political. And Attorney General in the state ought to have given certain advice that will prevent that from happening. But, you know, from both sides. But one thing with Nigerian politicians is this. Today we are talking about Wike being high-handed and Fubara being a child of circumstance. But the truth is that Fubara himself is also learning the same thing Wike has become. Remember when Wike was working with Rotimi Amechi? Okay, he was very loyal and all that. From being a local government chairman to being a chief of staff of Rotimi Amechi,
all right, we seem to have a glitch in the
and
net.
becoming a minister for education for Nigeria, then state of education. He did all that and all that. Nobody heard how whether he could become what he is today. But today, having become a governor for 8 years, he has become more like a monster. Okay. And today you are saying if you allow Fubara to rest, tomorrow Fubara will now learn the game, become a godfather himself, and begin to lord over whoever is going to. So Nigerian politicians, you cannot completely defend them until we see how things play out in the future.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Evans Ufeli there. Let me come back to you, Doctor. We know that loyalty is highly prized in the political space. Politicians would want to keep close to themselves those that they know are loyal to them. But with what is going on now and the general perception, we know that Wike cannot exactly step into the APC because on television, I mean, some APC stalwarts don't see him as their kind of person. He's perceived as one whom the president likes, and so they are working with him based on that. Now, with everything going on in Rivers State, do you think he's losing political relevance?
Definitely, you will. Let's go as a track record. Though there's a saying that says, "He that pays
The piper dictates the tune."
dictates his tune. And so that's what he was trying to do. I brought all of you into office. I must dictate everything. But you cannot sleep on two beds at the same time or drive two cars at the same time. And when you look at it historically in the history of Rivers, it has been since 1999. Odili and Rotimi Amechi, the thing went other side because they were loyal to each other. Rotimi Amechi and Wike, the thing also. So it comes to Fubara now. So I think there's something that we need to unravel in Rivers. And over time, Wike, if he's not careful, now, Amechi is now silent. This is #1 citizen in Rivers. He can decide and say that you are no longer coming to Rivers, and I'll make Rivers ungovernable for you, because he's the #1 citizen in Rivers. Is the sitting governor, and so there's no how you can fight the sitting governor to a standstill, right? So just like that has been said, you cannot, because he is your person, you cannot begin to make him like a toothless bulldog. Okay, this is what to be done. This is what to be done. Then why is he a governor? He must be able to, because he will be responsible for whatsoever actions that is being taken. But as time goes on, Wike himself is being seen indirectly as an APC member, indirectly, but he's fighting. So these people should also learn. Remember, when PDP wants to sack him, he ran to court and said they don't have the ability to sack him on this basis. So these people, you now tell them to withdraw and come to APC.
And they did.
And they did. And automatically they lost their seat. So they still believe that, oh, he will the power, he can control things from the Supreme Court, and all things will run to them. So we will watch and see, these are political tussles, right? And over time, if he's not careful, and Fubara could got some people to back him up and tell him how to toe the line, because that's how we can also learn to become rugged and dogged. And they told him and teach him how to toe the line. The only thing is just like once they said that when two elephants fight, the grass is suffer. So the only thing that I'm fearful of is the citizens of Rivers, because when there are killings and a lot of fighting over there, their lives will be saved, but the citizens will suffer for it. So and they will make the whole place ungovernable. And those are the people that will suffer. I think over time, if Wike is not careful, this is the same line that Rotimi Amechi told. And if Fubara could get some people to back him up, telling him these are the things to do, these are the steps to take, over time you just discover that Wike will also fizzle out, and he will become a strong and formidable person to be reckoned with in Rivers State.
All right then. Well, lastly, let me get your view, and I'm going to ask Barrister Evans the same question. There are fears that this might snowball into a bigger crisis if not properly handled. What do you think?
Definitely, it will.
A national crisis.
It might not be a national crisis, because every state is peculiar, right? And the crisis we are talking about is relative. Those crises cannot happen in Lagos. It can happen in Oyo State. The Ondo State is under. So it cannot be. Rivers is being known for their political brouhaha. Remember also, such thing want to happen in Lagos during the time of Tinubu and Fashola.
Okay.
Right, that Oba of Lagos stepped into it. But Fashola was able to stop his ground because he's been seen to be doing well.
But that was his second tenure now.
Yeah, and Oba really wanted Tinubu said, if you allow this guy to go and PDP hijacked him, you lose Lagos. So I think what Fubara should also learn from it is that let him make the citizen of Rivers his priority. Once he does well, then he could wield the power. People will back him up. Because democracy, just because we are not making it like it's my father's show, a one-man business. Democracy is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
All right then. All right, so Barrister now, quickly, do you think this will snowball into a national crisis, seeing that Rivers State is, oil-rich state, and the Ijaws seem to be, raising their head right now?
The politics in under our system, we don't have the same pattern in every state. Different states have different pattern of politics. If you look at Oyo State, for example, before the late governor, the one that died, there was no one who have done 2 terms before Ajumobi, the late Ajumobi. And if you look at currently, it is only him and the current governor that have done 2 terms. If you look at Rivers, the politics, the pattern is different. If you look at Lagos, the politics, the pattern is different. Okay, so there's no uniformity in patterns of political. So I don't see this leading into a full national crisis. I don't see that. Much so that a lot of people do not like
the way we can conduct himself
politically. So I don't see it becoming a national. It's not a national issue. It's a Rivers State issue. And for me, the only thing they can do is to go to court. Okay, they can't take the laws into their hands, of course, because the center is there watching over them. And if they do that, they know what the resultant effect could be. So it's going to be remain a state issue. But my fear in Rivers State is that if INEC decide to take on its constitutional responsibility by conducting an election to replace those people, Rivers is being very volatile. I'm just looking at the nature of that election. Wike may not want that election to hold. The 26 members will not want the election to hold. And Rivers State generally, their supporters are divided, very volatile. It's going to be a very tough issue to deal with. That is my fear in this whole thing. Not that it could snowball into a national crisis and all that. No.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Evans Ofeli and Dr. Gadi Oluwashola. We'll take up next on VOP this morning. Supreme Court sets to pass its judgment on the leader of Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, today. We'll talk about this one when we come back after this break.